mission was just a routine delivery of supplies and personnel to the International Space Station. I launched just as the sun was setting over Cape Canaveral. Self-destruct the ship as we were separated from the rocket, but no damage was detected. After our first initial orbit, we docked with the ISS and there was no other incidents. Inspecting the ship showed no signs of any damage, and systems showed that everything was still in perfect order. IRL was not satisfied and had a gut feeling that something was wrong. Call it paranoia if you will, but I know the ship and every part of it I have inspected, and yet I still feel like I am missing something. After all tests came back clean, I was given the okay to make the return trip down to Edwards Air Force Base in California. All systems checked and I proceeded as planned. Upon re-entry it got a bit turbulent, and that was when the alarm went off for the left elevator was stopped. Ground control recommended to abort landing and return to the ISS, but that was entirely not possible as I was stuck in dive with the right elevon still working. I was able to flatten out and get the nose up a bit. Ground control was completely panic-stricken, and they were certain the shuttle was about to be a long streak of debris across California. I have been a pilot since as far back as I can remember, and I was determined not to let that be my last mission. I struggled with the controls and kept flat the best I could. Edwards only moments away when I got ripped by a strong crosswind. This wind caught me off guard and took me into a barrel roll, which also slowed me down. I immediately proceeded to do another, and when I came around, the nose actually went up, but the left elevon struck the runway and sent me into a flat spin all the way through the entire runway. Somewhere along the way, all of the landing gear had broken off and I was spinning on the belly of the ship. I recall the moment as if it were in slow motion. And as the spinning stopped and the ship came to stand still, I felt as if I was still stuck in that spin. The sounds of the emergency vehicle still be here, but the sound was also spinning with my head. I was in total shock. I could not move or speak. Ground control was frantically calling for me, but I could not answer. Emergency crews entered the shuttle and brought me outside. By the time they got me out of my seat, I was able to stand, though the ground was still spinning. I had to depend on them for balance. They helped me off the ship were news crews and fire trucks and ambulances, and so many people were waiting to see if I was okay. The chair when I stepped off the ship was so loud and my head was still spinning. I was then escorted to an ambulance and taken to the hospital there in bed. The doctor said I likely had an overdose of adrenaline, and the shock was just my body's way to come down from such a high. Figured that makes the most sense. I figured that makes the most sense. I checked out fine after several hours and probably a gallon of water. From there I was taken to a secure location for a debriefing. The press was all over trying to get information about what happened. NASA was being pretty open about the situation, considering as I was being flown from New to the Kennedy Center, I could see they had hoisted the ship onto a hauler, and there were crews everywhere clearing debris from the wreckage. All in all, the ship was still pretty much intact, so I guess I would call the mission a success. When I got to Kennedy, I was sat down, told I was to be taken off the fly list. I was reprimanded for not following ground control's orders to abort landing, even though I explained that I could not have possibly aborted. After entering the atmosphere, that didn't matter to them. It was all just a bunch of bureaucratic bullshit. However, being that I wasn't strewn all over California, kept the debris localized, I was also commended. I would be forced to retire after receiving the National Medal of Honor. I was also told that I wouldn't be able to fly personal crafts for up to 3 years, and I would have to take a refresher course before I could do so. Some routine mission, huh? After all was said and done, I took a trip to Barbados. I felt the need to sit on the beach and sip cocktails. Nice day at Goddard Space Center. The place was alive and there was quite a bit of chatter and excitement that day. It was about 2 months after the last shuttle incident, and they had me looking up at the stars by staring down at this monitor. I have been here, monitoring the Hubble telescope for a few years now. And while we get some breathtaking views, nothing this exciting has ever come across my screen. There was a large mass that had just entered into our solar system and was on a near miss with Earth and its trajectory. I managed to get the telescope aimed and zoomed in on the object. It was as big as a skyscraper. It was metallic, and most of all, it looked man-made. I managed to snap some magnificent shots of it and was excitedly sharing with my coworkers. There didn't appear to be any propulsion to it, leading us to believe it was adrift. The entirety of the mass was metal, and there would be no way to know if it was solid or not without actually visiting it. That is not my department, I just watch for phenomena, report my findings. This report would really be good though. It is not every day you get to report that you may have seen an alien spacecraft. And yet from the exterior there was no visible markings or exterior lighting. It was a rather dull design, but maybe it's just a rocket, and it has been drifting through space for who knows how long. It was cylindrical, about 700 meters in length. The front side was domed like a rocket. It was 2 meters from side to side, and there was no way to know what the backside looked like as it was coming straight towards Earth. Well, will be a near miss anyhow, I reported to my supervisor after I had finished collecting all the data. My supervisor, upon seeing the photos and the trajectory map I had laid out, sort of panicked. An alien ship the size of a skyscraper could be housing a lot of aliens. Could this be an alien invasion? Was their destination actually Earth? Through all the excitement, I was told that I need to make sure these photos do not get out of our office. I failed at that already, but I hadn't known. It wasn't apparent that my partner had forwarded the pictures I got to his personal website, and before the day's end, the ship was all over the news. The next day, as I was sitting on my desk looking through more photos, I was suddenly surrounded by 5 armed guards. They asked if I was the one who discovered the ship, and I told them that it was me. They ordered me to leave with them. I tried to let my supervisor know what was going on, but they pretty much just kidnapped me out of the building. At least my partner saw what happened, so I wasn't too worried. I was mostly scared and confused about what was even going on. Was this even real? We drove for about half an hour before we pulled up in front of the White House. I was then ushered inside and taken to an office. Inside was the Secretary of Defense, who looked frustrated and maybe even a little overworked. He greeted me and apologized for the goons. Something about military, I just don't know. He got to the point of why I am standing in his office. My supervisor had contacted him and forwarded my report. I still had no idea that it had been leaked until he mentioned that it was on the news last night. I didn't catch the news last night because I was out at a bar celebrating my discovery. I spent several hours going over the details of my report, explaining that the mass was not being propelled and that it is drifting, albeit real fast. I think what he really wanted to know was how long we have before it reaches Earth, which if he would have started with that, we could have saved so much time. With the speed it is going, I explained, it will reach Earth in a year and a half roughly. I was then briefed that they need to reach the object before it gets to Earth, and they needed to know how long of a window they would have to intercept it at Mars. I told them that if they launched a mission in the next 2 months, they would have no problems reaching it before it got here. However, at the speed it is going, I couldn't guarantee that they can stay close to it for any bit of time. He wanted me to leak the details to him, so I just casually butted out. He then called for one of his goons to bring me back to work. He handed me a card and told me to keep him updated on any changes. I was also instructed to keep Hubble locked on the objects until further notice. My magnificent find seemed to be turning out to be not so magnificent after all. They always make me look bad. No matter what I do, I could save a baby from a burning building, and they would make it look like I was the one who started the fire. I really hate the media. But here I am again, in the spotlight, making an announcement that we are gonna take action. As you all are aware that a rocket-shaped object of unknown origin is approaching Earth. It has been in the media, and let's face it, everyone is talking about it. People are making up stories to scare people, and some of them are just so far-fetched. Let us not be presumptuous here. I have just signed up on a mass shuttle mission to reach it before it reaches us. If it is haunting aliens, we will know before it gets here. However, this could also be an unmanned probe, or even just a large mass of metal casually drifting through space. Either way, we want to bring it safely here. The plan is to intercept the object at Mars and slow it down to a stop, and tow it into orbit where it can be properly investigated. It is still a long ways away, and no communication has been established with the object. However, we are continuously monitoring the object 24/7, and what can you do until it has reached Earth? We will continue to keep you updated on the situation. The mission is expected to launch in approximately 1 month. You can find more about the mission from NASA's website, www.never.nasa.gov. If you would like to see more pictures of the alien object, you can view the live feed being broadcast on YouTube. I would like to just make sure that the people of this country know not to believe any of these stories about aliens. There is no conspiracy here, and what we know you know as well. We will keep you updated, but again, you have to visit our online sites if you want to be up to date. I'm also sure there will be plenty of news casting the information as well. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful afternoon. Stay safe, America. Thank you all for coming, and have a wonderful afternoon. Stay safe, America.